If you've just tuned in, we have 2 races in the books. The men's first Varsity 8 and the men's second Varsity 8. We're now lining up the third Varsity 8, which is the third priority boat for all these programs. So far on the day, undefeated for Princeton. They will look to maintain that as we have an official start here. 2 boats across, only 2 here. No Columbia boat for this third Varsity 8. We have Princeton in lane 2, furthest from the camera. Penn, lane 3, closest to the camera. Both boats in the middle of their high strokes. Princeton definitely more traction here in the middle of their high 20. Really throwing them in as they start to push away from Penn. First 250 of this race. Princeton getting a quick 3 seats over Penn. Penn 3V hanging in there. As we saw from the earlier races, Penn, they like to throw it out early. This one did not catch Princeton by surprise. Princeton was ready for it. They are sitting up, although Penn moving well. Penn moving well in these high strokes. It's really about striding out to base. Which one of these 2 crews can find a more sustainable, more dynamic base pressure, base rhythm? And as they stride out, 2 boats are pretty level. Princeton's still with a slight advantage, but it's pretty neck and neck at this point of the race.
That's right, Keenan. The base is a really important part of the race. You have the start, and then you have your base, and then you have the finish. And so the base actually takes up the bulk of a 2,000-meter race. And in the words of Tom Hebink, I'm all about that base.
Once again, the wise words of Tom Hebink, Princeton legend. We look across about 600 meters in, and Princeton has definitely started to edge out over Penn. Princeton sitting up about a seat and a half over the Quakers, continuing to inch ahead over the fellas from Philly.
Now, this Princeton third varsity boat is made up of mostly freshmen and sophomores. There's a pair of juniors in there, and there's actually one change to the boat from last week. Owen Roliak moves into the boat from the 4V, so probably out here trying to prove something, earn his spot, and show that he makes this boat faster. After the crew's building confidence and trust with each session, and all 8 members of the crew actually did a 2K erg test this week, which helped fuel a great week of practice, according to the coaches.
Yeah, and this Princeton boat is coached by Matt Smith. As you're talking about the start and the finish of these races, I know Matt Smith completely prioritizes really rhythm at base. He always talks about how it's the middle 1,500 of the race that really makes an impact, and I think we're seeing that philosophy transpire on the screen right now. So I think Coach Matt Smith will be really proud of his young crew as they come into the second K of this race and pass the Princeton 2V, it looks like there in the background.
Definitely seems like this Princeton 3V is executing their race plan appropriately here. As we just passed the 1,000, they have pushed their lead to almost a full boat length. Princeton Coxon now sitting on bow ball of the Penn crew and continuing to push. I would guess that Coach Matt Smith told his crew right around that 1,000 is where we're going to try to break crews. If we get up by 7-8 seats, let's see if we can throw in a big 15 to 20 to break open, and Princeton's just about to do that. As we watch here, Princeton has now officially broken open water, which is such a psychological advantage if you're the Princeton Tigers. If you can make it so that none of the guys in the Penn boat can see you out of their periphery anymore, it's just demoralizing. And so if you're Penn, you're going to want to desperately call a move here to try to answer to see if you can maintain contact. But so far, haven't been able to do it. They're hanging in there. They're not going anywhere, but Princeton just sits up comfortably with open water. They're going to look to just maintain that, I think, for the next few strokes, and then maybe throw in another move in about 10 to 15 and try to really push ahead and really open things up.
So, Keenan, as a rowing coach, actually, coaches always tell their rowers, don't look out of the boat. So how does that play into being able to see another crew from your peripherals?
Well, Tommy, your peripherals, as you may know, because you're so familiar with how the eyes work, you don't have to look out of the boat to use your peripherals. That's what they are, Tommy. So you can sense what's going on around you as you use your peripherals, and you can kind of see when there's a boat that has gotten open water and there's no sort of hint of them in your line of sight anymore, then you know that they've probably gotten away from you.
Keenan, I can tell that your dad is an ophthalmologist.
He
With
certainly
all
is.
this info you have about eyes and peripherals.
I'm very knowledgeable on the subject, Tommy, as you know.
Now, Jake, can you tell us about any of these rowers in the Princeton boat?
Yeah, absolutely. I think two guys that I'm really looking at right now are 7-seat Matt Wagner and 6-seat Joe McCauley. These are two really fiery, energetic guys who I think could be a bit of a lightning rod for the crew, and so you sort of see them passing their energy down to the slightly younger guys behind them in the boat, and just as they come into this final bit of the race, really letting everyone know how they feel, which I think, as a coxswain, that's always a great feeling in the boat when the guys are really bought in, you're getting energy, and people are yelling. I think, it's really can be the spark that makes a good crew come together.
Absolutely.
And Princeton, definitely a spark here in the final strokes of this race. They definitely bumped it up. They're sitting about 38-39 here on the rating, so they've continued to build last few strokes. They sit up, couple strokes left for the Tigers, and the 3V is through the line now, unofficially 5:52. Penn Quakers 5:55, once again unofficially. So Princeton